continuing coverage of the 2024 AVC Challenge Cup for Women. It is raining in Manila, but the action does not stop here at the Rizal Memorial Coliseum. It is the final day of the preliminaries, and we are all set to wrap things up, find out the positionings, and of course, formalize our intro into the semifinals. Still a 4-game slate here today, and Indonesia looking to finish the preliminaries on a high, while Vietnam looking to stay perfect in their pool. Let's take a look at all of the games here set up today. Of course, in the Philippines, it is going to be a big game against Chinese Taipei at the end, of course, having qualified for the semifinals already. But before that, first off, Vietnam against Indonesia, Kazakhstan against Hong Kong, and Iran against Australia. Hello, I'm Paulo De Rosario, joined by Coach Ronnie Magsanok here with you, sir. We take a look at this matchup in particular. It is a rematch of the finals, but of course, very different squads in this contest today.
Different rosters, same mission to make it to the semis. And right now, there's one team that's going to be making it to the semis already, and that's going to be the 11-time Southeast Asian Games silver medalist Vietnam, who won this competition last year, while Indonesia looking to salvage a better finish after losing 2 of its first 3 games.
Let's take a look at the lineup of Vietnam, and they come in with a loaded lineup, and you take a look at the fact that they brought in their MVPs, they brought in their best players, they brought in the players that for a very long time have been considered one of the best in Southeast Asia. Coach, you take a look at this exciting lineup. Who excites you the most?
Well, T4, of course, is a very familiar name, a very familiar face likewise to our Filipino fans. Unfortunately, she has not played. I've read somewhere that she was not able to see action in the finals of the Pro League in Vietnam. Eventually, they also flew in the reigning best setter and the reigning best middle blocker in this roster. We're about to face off against Indonesia shortly.
And of course, in Indonesia, this is a very young team compared to the team that made it all the way to the finals in the last edition of the Challenge Cup. And this group actually only has an average age of 19 years old.
One of the youngest.
One of the youngest. No player born in the 90s. And of course, we are not going to determine what the other birth ages in this panel are. But you take a look at this group, Coach, there's still a lot of promise even though they are quite young.
Not only are they the youngest, but they are the fewest in terms of number representing their country. And this is, of course, Indonesia parading a very young unit. And they will be led, of course, by Santi, Putri Agustin, and the rest of Team Indonesia were out to make a big kill today should they pull off a major upset.
Let's take a look at Tuen Yen, who had 30 points in their last game against Kazakhstan. And, Coach, that 30 points, the highest total point output in the tournament so far.
Right. We are playing our 17th match, day number 5. But this young lady, unbelievable explosion. Last night, 26 of 47. Also had 3 of her team's 11 blocks, 1 service ace, 24 points scored against Hong Kong and Singapore, but yesterday, a scoring explosion, 3 points better than Caitlin Tipping's 27 points scored against Team Philippines in the nightcap.
Well, you know what, Coach, you take a look at the upset potential of Indonesia, and if they are going to pull off an upset, they need someone like Junaida Santi to come up big. 9 points, 5 attacks, and a single block, as well as 3 aces. Getting the job done offensively, Coach, but then the critique about her is trying to add on to the skills, especially defensively.
It's all about gaining as much experience for this upcoming young stars from Indonesia. No Mel Gawati, no Wilda, no problem for Junaida Santi. 9 points in their last outing, 8 points versus Hong Kong, 12 versus Singapore, a total of 29 in 3 matches. She had 5 of 21 attacks of her team, also 3 of Indonesia's 5 aces against Kazakhstan, as we take a look at where these teams are in Pool B.
Again, the top 2 teams advance to the semifinals, and Indonesia near the bottom with a 1-2 slate. Coach, you take a look at Vietnam, though, dominating as they expected.
And one thing that is nice is that the Philippines is going to avoid Vietnam in the crossover semifinals. Later on, it's going to be an elimination match between Hong Kong and Kazakhstan for the right to face the Philippines come the semifinal crossover.
Well, let's see if Indonesia have an upset in the cards for them, or if Vietnam can really just follow the script and come away with a big win here today. It is Vietnam against Indonesia when we return. Don't go away.
Rizal Memorial Coliseum for your AVC Challenge Cup. This is match number 17 in the women's division and the showdown between Vietnam and Indonesia. Let us meet the international referees for this match. Our first referee, Nasrin Hachinas of Iran. And our second referee, Jocelyn Del Rosario of the Philippines. And now let us meet the starting lineup for both teams, starting with Vietnam. At number 1, Nguyen Tri Tra My. At number 14, Vo Kim Tua. At number 16, Vi Thi Như Kien. At number 18, Pham Thi Hien. At number 20, Tran Tu Ling. At number 23, Dean Tri Tra Gian. And the libero at number 12, Nguyen Can Dang. And the head coach, Nguyen Duan Kiet. And now for Indonesia at number 2, Rara Tegriani. At number 4, team captain, Bella Agustina. At number 6, Fanny Chayarintias. At number 18, Putri Agustin. At number 20, Junaida Santi. And number 22, Rara Rizkamara. And the libero number 24, Nurfitri Ahawa. And the head coach, Pedro B. Lilipali.
Take a little lineup here for Vietnam. Once again, this is going to be a team that is expectant of a victory here against a very youthful Indonesian team who is looking to mount an upset here against their Southeast Asian neighbors. They are familiar opponents in general, but then with this Indonesian team touting a very young lineup with an average age of 19 up against some of the best Vietnam has to offer, it's going to be a tall task for the girls in red here today. Thank you very much for joining us here at Rizal Memorial Coliseum. This is the AVC Challenge Cup. I'm Paulo De Rosario, joined by Coach Ronnie Magsano. Coach Ronnie, you take a look at what Indonesia have to do here to go up against Vietnam. What are the keys to winning for this young squad?
Defense has to be at its best here today for Indonesia up against a very strong offensive unit in Vietnam. Look at the height disparity here. Vietnam with more mature players with a taller unit. Vietnam also coming off a win last year in the 2023 edition of the Challenge Cup. And this is the first point coming from Vietnam on that offensive block. Vietnam also played in the Challenger Cup by virtue winning the Challenge Cup, because this competition offers the solitary or lone ticket to the Challenger Cup should you win or top this competition.
That's true, Coach, and it is a great start here for Vietnam, following a kill block with an ace straight away. And you take a look at the fact that this Vietnam team is loaded in their roster. They definitely sent one of their better squads here in this tournament. And you take a look at how the depth is really here for this Vietnam team.
Depth, experience, definitely all out as they sent their best possible lineup to be able to once again try and repeat what they were able to do last year and once again participate in the Challenger Cup, which will be held, by the way, in Manila come early July.
Because of that, by virtue of our hosting, Philippines will be part of the Challenger Cup, I believe. And you take a look at the fact that, okay, we mentioned a while ago, Vietnam, very loaded team. T4, very much, we're very happy that she is on the roster, but it hasn't featured in the tournament here so far.
Not really. She was not able to play in the title battle for her club team, which eventually lost in the finals. Dethroned in their club championship as Indonesia launches the first challenge here. And so far, 4-1 count here in favor of Vietnam. And 2 of those first 4 points have come from offensive blocks.
And the challenge not really needed, because Vietnam has come up and admitted to the touch. So point going Indonesia's way. 3-2 here. And if you're Indonesia, first off, keeping the scores close is going to be paramount here to at least trying to pull up an upset.
That's top of mind for the red shirts, of course.
Free ball to play with here for Indonesia. Who did they turn to? The swing and another kill block in the same area. Putri Agustin shuts down.
Once again, it's all about defense for Vietnam. We'll check shortly how many blocks they were able to register in their last win. Putri Agustin, one of the leading scorers, who accounted for a total of 26 points and 3 gains for Indonesia, contained once again and rejected.
8 points in the last game in particular for Putri Agustin. And that time it is Rana who ends up scoring for Indonesia to pull them within 1.
Alrid Hanya, Riz Kamara, aka Nara, did not play against Kazakhstan but scored a total of 6 points in the first 2 games, 2 versus Hong Kong and 4 versus Singapore. Activated at the middle for the 3rd point. Ooh.
And that's a heavy hit, dealt well with by Indonesia. Santi sends it the other way. Here's Vietnam again. The soft touch is good. And that was Lan, who is able to find the space behind the blocker.
A total of 16 points scored. That was a combination play. They have the reigning best setter, player number 19. They have the reigning best middle blocker, player number 23. And of course, they have the MVP of last year's Challenge Cup, T4.
Putri Agustin with the swing. Go back to Lin. Blocking, slowed that down, and a chance here for Santi to wind things up.
Wow. Pipe attack coming from Santi. One of the leading scorers for Indonesia, who's only 16 years old.
16 years young, Coach. Junaida Santi coming in with the point for Indonesia. Bel Agustina.
This is just really a part of the grassroots program of Indonesia, to say the very least.
Well, you can't say they won't come home with experience, because going up against a team like Vietnam, who does stuff like that, will definitely be something to build on.
My goodness. Pipe play by Santi, and then on the next sequence, this is a back row delivery.
That was Quinn with the hit, and Quinn only played 1 frame last time around against Kazakhstan, scored 1 point there, and a chance here to get a bit more run. Of course, a chance here for Vietnam in general to have a bit more rotation considering their standing.
Should they play more in their rotation? Philippines did that last night in the 3-set win over Iran. Finally saw Faith Esperos. Panique, we already saw her play 2 games ago.
And that time, the net defense of Indonesia activated there.
Better than that quick play. This is the defense I was referring to earlier.
China Ninjas will get the little tap, the little push, and that was just enough. Great serve, but then great recovery here for Vietnam as well. They go to the wing, and that time the shot just too hot.
That's more than hot for Queen. 20 points heading to this game, 2 points so far. One from the pipe, one in that last sequence. Combination play once again, delaying the blockers. Going long, going deep. In between zone 1 and zone 6.
Again, barely played in the last game, so really an opportunity here to show off what you can do. And the hit there just a bit too long. So Vietnam now lead 8-6. 2-point advantage here for the girls in white.
Tuyan Nguyen not starting here today. She had 30 points in their last match. To emerge as the leading scorer right now for Vietnam.
Thi Hien almost with the ace. It's a free ball here though for Vietnam. And just getting the blockers up. And it's an easy point here once again for Vietnam.
Coming off the chance ball, they will not waste that opportunity.
Another look at that there.
Ooh.
Oh, rather, that is out, it looks like. So, point goes to Indonesia. Just a 1-point lead here for Vietnam.
It's a good break here for the red shirts.
Yeah. Now, Coach, you take a look at how Indonesia is actually staying within touching distance here to Vietnam. And as I say that, another soft touch takes advantage of that big gap behind the blockers.
Drop shot here coming from the white shirts. Again, off a combination play. And I'm sure that Indonesia is inspired by the fact that this is one of their arch rivals in the Southeast Asian region.
Again, at the same time, though, Indonesia has had a few silver medals as of late. Of course, trying to climb the summit through in different competitions, especially the Southeast Asian Games. As we take a look at Junaida Santi getting the point there.
Well, this is a perfect opportunity for teams in Southeast Asia and in the Asian region to really get the gold, because Thailand is not seeing action in this competition. No Korea, no China, no Japan, because they are already seeing action in the VNL or the Volleyball Nations League. Another quick play at the middle restores a 2-point lead for Vietnam, disallowing Indonesia a taste of the lead. You can sense that Thailand, or rather Vietnam, is playing at their level, making sure that they are fresh heading into the semis, which will be played, by the way, on a Tuesday. As we take a break tomorrow.
So a little break here, but of course that just gets everyone reset for, I'm sure, a bumper crowd again here at the Rizal Memorial Coliseum as Junaida Santi is keeping Indonesia close.
Very talented. Look at the fake. As if she was going to go cross court, then at the last second, executing a line shot.
Santi getting a bit of help from the tape there. We go to the wing, and that time getting it past the blockers, and there's just that big space behind the blockers, Coach, that's been exploited consistently here from Vietnam.
You have to marvel at Juan from Vietnam, last year's best setter, with the way she activates the rest of the pin hitters, her pipe plays, and then also going to her middle attacker.
Young with the serve, did not play in the last game, as again we are seeing a rotated lineup here for Vietnam. Managing to keep that alive, just barely. Can they get that across? Yes, they can. Vietnam with a free ball to play with, looking for the easy score, and they find it.
A chance ball will lead to that normally. Transition play execution once again for Vietnam. Tying their biggest lead, which stands again at 3. Even without T4, still seeing action for Vietnam.
Ya, yang kedua bola serangan balik seharusnya poin kita nggak poin ya. Oke, itu sabar lagi ya, receive ya, naik lagi, yang bagus saya pindah. Oke ya, serang ya, pindah ya, langsung ya. Yo, mobil saya mas Indonesia ya. Bloknya ditunggu lagi.
Words of encouragement there for Indonesia. As we take a look at the last hit again, the chance ball, easy to play with. Ling with another point. Had 3 points in the last game against Kazakhstan. It was a 3-1 win in favor of Vietnam. Of course, there was a late fight back from Kazakhstan that they dealt with. And it was dealt in a manner that I'm sure they would have felt was professional enough. As we take a look at Yang with another serve, and a service ace.
Those are heavy serves that she has launched in the last 2 times. They call the timeout to arrest a possible escape. That's a flat one compared to the first service ace. A lot of scoring weapons here for the white shirts. Once again, looking to get to the semis as quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible, as healthy as possible, as evidenced by the rotation of the lineup. And the blocking just on point here from Vietnam. They're scoring whichever way they wanted. That time it was rather Hien with the block.
This is already a total of 3 offensive blocks here in set 1 alone. Once again imposing their height advantage over the young Turks from Indonesia, who are down by 5 at this stage.
Putri Agustin. Santi gives it back to Agustin. That time getting a bit of help from the tape and finding that donut hole.
And that's a campfire if I've ever seen one. Off speed, clipping the net. And the head coach of Vietnam reacting right away. Stops a good 4-point run here for Vietnam.
Tagariani with the serve. That is a great serve, and that's an ace. And you could see Vietnam pointing fingers a bit in terms of the coverage.
Not wanting to give up a 2-point run. Instead, they will. First ace of the match for Indonesia. Couple meanwhile for Vietnam. Looking for their 4th straight win, by the way.
Well, that's something to smile about here if you're Indonesia.
Another good serve.
Still trying to make something out of nothing, and the blocking does its job there for Indonesia. Ball still alive. Santi, who has been the leading scorer here for Indonesia, keeping them within 2.
At 16, playing the way she is. No doubt, she's going to be one of the mainstays of the national team for a long, long time.
You talk about building for the future, this Indonesia team using this almost as grassroots development, coach.
Mature beyond her years. Tremendous playing skills already. And that last quick play will stop a 3-point run. Reestablishes another 3-point lead for Vietnam.
Pham Thi Hien, who has scored off a block just a while ago.
Exactly.
Able to score at the net.
Combination play, better first ball for Vietnam.
Thi Tra My with the serve. And the soft touch, covered well there by the Vietnamese. And they go to Putri Agustin. The run-up slowed down.
Nice.
From the back, that hit just too much.
You can see that Vietnam really has paraded a very tall unit.
Gotta look at that here again.
That's why their blocking has been
perfect.
Blocking has been extremely efficient for them all throughout, not just this match, but all throughout this Challenge Cup.
And that's another great save, but thankfully for Indonesia, they get it across. And that time scoring off the blockers.
So far, the strongest teams I have seen, India, Kazakhstan, the Philippines, of course, and Vietnam.
Tran Tin Lin has found a lot of joy, especially when operating down the wing.
That's a flank hitter, working hard.
It's another great serve there. Had to dig deep for that one. Putri Agustin with the hit, dealt well with. An attack from the back.
Ooh.
And same result there, just wound up. Tran Tin Lin has been enjoying her morning so far.
Getting a lot of touches, saying, yes, good morning. Later on, they would like to say goodbye if they should go on and rattle off consecutive points to close out set number 1. Very tall setter, the reigning best setter. Planing in once again here for Vietnam.
Another good serve there for Vietnam. Putri Agustin answers back. But it looks like it's a net violation anyway.
Putri Agustin and Santi are the 2 top scorers for Indonesia. Putri Agustin in 3 games, 7 points versus Hong Kong, 11 versus Singapore, 8 versus Kazakhstan for a total of 26 in 3 games.
Better blocking here shown by Indonesia. Net defense, at least here in this point, was on point until then.
And you know who is the missing link offensively? Player number 4 for Indonesia. That's Sabrina.
Taking a look at that, just between the hands of Indonesia's Chai Ningtas.
You can see how quick this team from Vietnam relays.
Tran Tu Ling with the serve. Junaida Santi overcooked it.
The block attempts of Vietnam have been constant, and the presence at the net forced that attack miscue coming from Santi, who was rarely missed here in set 1.
Well, it's 20 serving 13 and number 20 up with the serve. That time barely got that across. And the pancake save, unable to get there.
That's their playmaker, Orara. And with the level of competition here, the Challenge Cup, most if not all of the setters that we have seen are scoring threats really.
Yeah.
On 1-2 plays, on sneaky moves, making themselves also scoring threats, and to force the defense to be honest against them as well.
You know, you take a look at that from a local perspective here in the Philippines. The Philippine crowd's happy with that as well. Seeing more offensive-minded setters.
Genie was outstanding yesterday.
Yeah.
In their match last night. Well, of course, Gia Morado de Guzman showing us that she can play at this high level.
Oh, definitely.
The gold standard of setters in the Philippines at present.
Great swing there coming from Vietnam once more.
Floor defense of Indonesia has been right there. It's the blocking that has to improve for them, to try and slow down those attempts coming from Vietnam, which comes in with a lot of heat and a lot of force, attacking all angles.
Yeah, that was Quinn with the last point. And that time, solo block from Quinn was good enough. So back-to-back points here for Quinn.
For the biggest lead at 7 points. That was the young lady I was referring to. Sabrina, looking for more offensive contributions from her. But so far, it has not panned for her.
Dengerin. Kita nyerang gagal, ya. Kita nyerang gagal loh. Bertahan apa lagi? Bertahan juga gagal. Receive gagal. Terus gimana? Ya. Maksudnya Om begini, risik kamu bagus, nyerang poin gitu loh. Nggak bisa. Ya. Ya, oke. Yo.
Well, Coach, based on our lack of knowledge of Bahasa, we can only understand that they said reception, receive. And that has been an issue in this game so far.
Since their first time out.
Yeah.
That's Coach Pedro Lilipali. And that tone, just from the tone alone, discerning from that tone, you know that there's more than urgency right now for them.
Yeah. A bit of frustration as well when you take a look at the reception game so far, as Junaida Santi tried to get the point there from the line, and that time unable to save that. The libero with all the effort, but unfortunately for her, to get that up.
16 points heading to this game for Lin, but today definitely the leading scorer for them. Getting a lot of touches and scoring off those touches. 8 points ahead and 2 points away from winning set 1.
Amtihen with the serve there. Junaida Santi sends a free ball the other way. Joust at the net, and Indonesia comes out on top.
And Santi has scored most of the points here for Indonesia in multiple ways. Back row, line shot, cross court, and that time winning the battle in that joust against the ace playmaker of Vietnam. 16 in the set. Indonesia 1-2. 1 win, 2 losses heading to this game.
23-16. Vietnam have dominated this frame so
Oh,
far, and it
nice.
continues there.
Shoot set. Perfect. 8 points ahead. We had a lot of deadlocks earlier, but then there came that separation. And right now, this is a big surge coming from Vietnam.
Big surge from Vietnam. Indonesia started sinking midway through this frame.
started to make mistakes, especially from the reception area.
Right, Santi stuffed there with her attempt. They go back to Santi again, and that time with a bit more mustard.
Power plus more force on the next attempt. And she's going to be a familiar face pretty soon to our Alas Pilipinas, as the Southeast Asian Games is going to be played in 2025 in Bangkok.
It's always interesting to see how the Philippines stacks up in Southeast Asian competition. But here in the Southeast Asian matchup, it is Vietnam who take the first frame against the young Indonesian side. As we take a look at that again, they are rotated. This is a team that is not necessarily what they have when you talk about a first six, but they're getting the job done here. 25-17 in favor of Vietnam after set number 1. We'll be right back. (25-17) after set number 1 in favor of Vietnam against the young Indonesian team. When you take a look at some of the highlights here, we have to give credit here to the net defense in particular of Vietnam. It really sets the tone here. In fact, they scored through a kill block first in this frame.
Had that net defense been omnipresent, this first set would have been much different, because Indonesia was able to generate 13 attack points to Vietnam 16, but eventually those shots died down. Also from the service line, we have to pay tribute to how Vietnam was able to distort the offensive patterns of Indonesia, simply because they put a lot of pressure on Indonesia's reception because of their excellent performance from the service line. 8-point win, not much difference in attack points. The defense quality, the quality of the defense of Vietnam was a telling factor that went their way, something that Indonesia will try to mirror in their attempt to win set 2. But for now, we find that Vietnam is really the team to beat here in the AVC Challenge Cup, winner in last year's edition. And despite the fact that T4 has not yet suited up, this is still a strong and loaded roster.
You know, you take a look at the average height of these two teams, because the net defense, again, a big factor in this game. On average, Coach, there's not much difference in terms of their height, but there is a difference definitely in the length of these players. Just looking at the eye test, being here close to them, watching them all in action, the length of this Vietnam team has proven to be one of the more deciding factors in terms of the net defense here in this game.
And I believe it's this template of body type that they have tried to form together, because all of them are built almost the same way.
Well, there is still a chance here for Indonesia to pull off an upset and maybe steal a frame first is the way to do that. Of course, this Vietnam team, with so much talent in their roster, have elected to play a more rotated team with some of the players here featuring did not even play against Kazakhstan in their last game.
Well, Lin has scored 3 points in that game versus Kazakhstan today, with probably 8 after that first set excellence.
Sabrina sends it the other way. Here's Vietnam again. That time, the net defense playing a lot better here for Indonesia. The tap, the push, that's good enough.
Too many weapons here for Vietnam, but I believe one factor going for them really is the experience. compared to Team Indonesia. This time it's a back set, delaying the blockers, opening up that block defense coming from Indonesia.
Another heavy serve there. And a heavy hit dealt well with. A good coverage after the shot was slowed down by a couple of hands.
Wow.
And it's just efficient defense here being shown by Vietnam. Getting a bit of help from the tape. Indonesia still looking for a way to score here. And it's a good rally between these two. A lot of energy. And another great dig. They're still alive, that time from the back.
Wow.
And Vietnam, after a good rally, managed to score and up the lead to 2.
We can always highlight the offensive plays for Vietnam, but what about Dang? Her thumbprint all over that last transition point here for Vietnam. That's no cross-court defense coming from the libero Dang of Vietnam.
Han Dang, you're absolutely right, Coach. Fingerprints all over that point.
And again, Dang once more.
They swing to the other end, and this time you feel that there's more intention here for Indonesia to go
to
with their
Sabrina.
veteran player. Yeah, Sabrina Agustina.
Tight.
Managing to keep that alive, just barely. Sabrina.
Dang again.
Stopped by Dang.
Longest rally so far of the match. That was eyeball to eyeball between Sabrina and Dang to enable Vietnam once again to score in transition.
And see Citra Mai, who's able to get the point there and end that round. Let's take a look at that again. Dang has been everywhere.
Covering the cross-court area pretty well. Only the second left-handed player that I've seen here in the competition.
And a miscue there coming from Tagariani.
Coming off that attempted shoot. 4-point run for a good second set opening for Vietnam. Not letting off.
You know, it is a 4-0 run here for Vietnam, but based on the quality of the rally that we saw a while ago, it would feel like Indonesia were due a point, and just on cue, Santi scoring there for Indonesia.
Off the block coming from Santi. Very powerful. Santi. Also one of the best blockers, by the way, for Indonesia in the competition.
For Junaida Santi, for those wondering just about her age, she's born 2007.
2007, my goodness.
2007, I was in senior high school.
Oh, me too.
Yes, you were, Coach.
K-12.
Of course. And that time it's outside for Vietnam.
Vietnam playing extremely fast. That is something that you can easily see. And based on what I have seen in the first 4 days after 16 matches, the taller teams have had difficulty with the quickness and agility of the smaller teams, such as the Philippines, 4-1, and even Chinese Taipei.
Well, of course, this Vietnam team has both the length and the quickness.
And the quickness, very quick.
But as we say that, Sabrina able to pull one back here for Indonesia. Scoring has been a problem here for Indonesia, Coach. The defense typically there and present, but then with Dang off the floor in that particular point, Sabrina was able to finally get another point in.
They had a total of 13 attack points in set 1, but Vietnam's defense has been even better here in set 2.
And that was a sharp hit there coming from Mai. And it is now a 4-point advantage for Vietnam.
7 points versus Hong Kong, 9 versus Singapore. Did not see action against Kazakhstan in their last win. Getting a lot of floor time here today. Extended and extensive playing time, and she has delivered. Except for the service error.
And no one is exempt from the commentator's curse, Coach.
Present?
Yep, as that one goes straight to the net. And a chance here for Indonesia to build upon that. Sabrina, the captain, the oldest member of this Indonesian team, standing at 22 years young. That time, the reception not quite there for Indonesia as Vietnam up their lead to 4 once more.
The most senior at 22. Santi, the youngest, at 16. We do our math, so they will play in at least 5, 6, or 7 Southeast Asian Games campaigns.
And if they had their way, coach, probably end their careers with a couple of medals and podium finishes.
But they will have to hurdle the biggest roadblock in the Southeast Asian region, the team from Thailand.
Oh, yeah. That Thai team has been another level, and Vietnam have been trying to close that gap, and that's a great effort there from the Vietnamese. Sabrina able to score after a bit of a miscue here from two Vietnamese players.
Sabrina with 2 of the first 4 points for Indonesia. In set 1, it was Santi who received most of the touches. But now, it's their team captain.
Well, that's a way to get one over Dang, who has had her number through majority of this set.
Another quick play here for Vietnam. Running play, call it slide. Whatever it is, this 4-point lead seems bigger at this stage with the way Vietnam has been trying to outplay Indonesia.
You have to feel that this Vietnam team is starting to impose themselves more in this contest. It feels like a stark difference between the first and second frames.
Because their setter has really touched on a lot of scoring options. Has given touches to all of her teammates and making the defense guess as to where she would go to. Right flank, left wing, middle hitter, pipe plays. She's been on point. Wow.
And here's the thing, coming down big again. 9-4 in favor of Vietnam. 5-point lead still. Indonesia just struggling here to score because the defense here, especially at the net from Vietnam, which we raved about in the first frame, has just been ever present.
Vietnam has no intention of using their second or third unit. It's all about winning as quickly as possible. And again, quick points. 6-point lead.
Ditragian with the point there, and Indonesia call for time, trying to stop the bleeding here. Let's have a listen.
Dengerin. Om Bedro mau ngomong apa terus? Ayo. Ya. Main, ayo tanggung jawab. Ayo. Receive nggak jadi, nyerang nggak poin. Apa terus bertahan? Ya. Ayo bagus lagi yo, bebas. Kalian main bebas aja mainnya. Ayo. Indonesia. Main bebas aja lepas.
Well, Indonesia looking for more energy, looking for more fight, and trying to put up a better resistance here against this Vietnam team. That
yes, looking for something to spark them.
Yeah.
Looking for something to change. They talk about the game flow here in set number 2. Be it on defense, be it in terms of emotion, something has to change for them to be able to try and remedy this situation. But they give up another point after that timeout by Coach Pedro.
well, you saw there the frustration coming for Putri Agustin. Unable to dig that out. 11-4, the count here for Vietnam, as Coach Lilipali, as you mentioned a while ago, was trying to find a bit more energy for this group.
Trying to generate some more reactions and inspire the rest of his unit. Finally,
off the block, Joanna Santi, who has been quiet here in this frame, getting the point.
And as I mentioned, it was Sabrina who was trying to carry the scoring cudgels, trying to be the workhorse. But unfortunately, Dang has been able to defend her well. Seems to be the kryptonite against the captain, Sabrina.
Urtomo with the serve. And that time, hit that under. There's 2 goes there, and Indonesia will take a free point.
Not the best first ball coming from Dang.
Yeah.
In comes Nien to give her a spell. That was a good serve, by the way, coming from Indonesia.
Yeah, that's Nurtomo, Chelsea Nurtomo. Of course, as we say that, the 2 of us are the reason why probably
I'm
that
sorry.
didn't stay in.
Very sorry about that.
Well,
Nurtomo has hardly played in this competition. 2 points scored so far heading to this game.
Rara with the setup to Jonaida Santi. Great effort here coming from Vietnam, and the hit just too good for Queen.
You can exercise and say all your superlatives when you talk about their offense. But I think This is one of the best, if not the best, floor defense that I've seen so far here in the Challenge Cup.
13 serving 6 as Vietnam continued to impose their will upon Indonesia. Sabrina avoiding down there, by the way.
3 of the first 7 points coming from Sabrina. Back set, isolating her. Line shot guarded, going for an angled hit.
They did get a touch to it, but then Sabrina still managing to get the point to make it 13-7.
Full front line right now for the red shirts.
Oh my, just finding the corner or the area near the corner. Mai has been shining here for Vietnam. Another look at that again.
Outstanding setup once again. And no wonder their playmaker was named as the top setter last year.
Rara with the setup to Janaina Santi. Give Vietnam a taste of their own medicine.
Beating the defense of Yen, who tried to protect that line shot.
Here's another look at that again.
Look at how tight. Oh, much pace given up by Yen.
Yen with a reception. Soft touch from Mai, no good. The Giles meeting at the net. Saved there by Indonesia, looking for Putri Agustin. And that time the pancake save. The initial save was good,
yes.
And the bounce not high enough. Take a look at that again.
Good read of the defense. Excellent placement as well. New player coming in here for Vietnam.
(15-8) is the score here. As Vietnam look to make this a quick frame. Putri Agustin.
Nice.
Had a touch to
Excellent.
it, and that was just excellent play. Absolutely right in your description, Coach. As Mai going to the corner again.
The playmakers of Vietnam has made it difficult for Indonesia to guard their offense, really.
That time, unable to really get a good hit on that. As Tagariani with the miscue, the mishit.
Still serving, number 23,
Giang with the serve once more. Santi with the reception. They go to Putri Agustin. Stuffed by the block. Coverage is there though for Indonesia.
Wow.
Stuffed again. And Indonesia are going to try a different route here.
Top speed.
Oh, and that is a good dig. It's kept alive. Can they send this across? Almost a miscommunication. They keep it alive though. Vietnam with a rare miss.
Yes, especially in that last transition sequence. But they could afford to make some mistakes as they are still up by 8 here in set number 2.
It's been one-way traffic here so far, Coach.
True.
In set number 2.
In contrast to what we saw in set 1, where we still had a tight scoreline at 9 points apiece before Vietnam launched a scoring surge anchored on multiple attackers. Their excellent floor defense combining with their omnipresence at the net.
9-point lead here so far, Coach, for Vietnam.
This is the 30-point scorer last night. Thuyen Nguyen.
It was funny, Coach, because you were accumulating, you were looking at all of the points scored for some of these Indonesian players, and some of them don't even make it to 30. While Thuyen has had 30 in one night.
In one night. And that's the first.
Service is there for Thuyen. And if you're the Philippines and you're looking for a potential matchup against Vietnam, ito na yung scouting report ninyo. Thuyen is going to be the one to watch out for here. That's a scouting report.
Among others.
Yeah.
Terus kebetulan mau ngomong apa? Ayo. Gimana sih? Kalian ini diajak maju nggak mau ya? Diajak prestasi nggak mau. Ya. Perbaiki passing lagi. Ayo. Kurangi kesalahan itu aja intinya udah. Kurangi kesalahan. Dengerin omongannya Om itu dengerin gitu loh.
Ayo.
Jangan keluar masuk.
Indonesia.
Kurangi kesalahan yo. Main pinter.
Pointing at his head, talking about mindset, talking about trying to put up a fight against the dominant Vietnam team. And of course, they need that mindset, especially with Tien here to play. Again, first appearance in this game for Vietnam. But a good reply there, a great timeout in hindsight now for Indonesia. As Bella Agustina scoring there for Indonesia. Well, here's Bella Agustina again. Tien with the reception. Lin. And the blocking back-to-back points here for Indonesia. And that has been a rare sight here so far. But that time, Lin just tough. Bella Agustina on the service line again. Over that serve though. And that was the end of one of the better runs here for Indonesia. Now a 9-point lead once again for Vietnam. On service line here for Vietnam, to Lin. Bella Agustina stopped there. Now from the back. Trying to Santi. Able to score in front of Tien. Still an 8-point advantage though for Vietnam. Lead, I'm sure for them, feels safe, but Indonesia can see how far they can go to close the gap. Better blocking there shown by Indonesia, who did they turn to. Aida Santi with the swing, but Tien is there to pick that up. Now from the back, Lin.
Too much.
Forward
Too
and
much.
yeah, overcooked it.
This is a young lady with a lot of power, because even the two-hand push was too long in that last instance. Continues to be the top scorer for Indonesia. We're trying to stay closer after being behind early here in set number 2. Losing the first set 25-17 and being down early here against Vietnam in set 2.
Pham Thi Hien with the serve there. Bella Agustina pushed that across. Tien with the swing. And almost a miscom there, but kept alive here. Tien.
That's no
Off the
miscom.
block.
That's no miscom in the classic way.
No.
That's power for
We actually-
Nguyen.
We actually heard the call,
Yeah.
coach.
And that was not even with full force. That's enough to beat the defense for a 10-point lead.
Well, that was finesse for Tien. And
That is power.
That is a good reply there coming from Santi, Junaida Santi. Another look at that here. Again, Chelsea Nurtomo here on the service line, trying to make the score just a bit more respectable, and that time couldn't get the help from the tape.
Indonesia so far in the competition. Let's double check their runway. Lost to Hong Kong, won over Singapore, bowed to Kazakhstan. 1-2 right now. Meanwhile, Vietnam winning against Hong Kong, Singapore, and the tough unit coming from Kazakhstan.
And that is something to build on here for Indonesia. As Rara getting the point here. Let's take a look at that again. Off the run.
The 19-year-old Rara. Rara so far, 5 against Hong Kong, 6 against Singapore, 5 against Kazakhstan for 16 in 3 games.
And that time, the point will go the way of a double touch, double contact here against Indonesia. So all of a sudden, we're in set point yet again.
10 set points to be exact.
And Quinn, who was so loud in the first frame. We'll try to end it here. That time overcooked it.
And this is without T4 playing.
Again, this is a very loaded, very strong Vietnam team. They may change their roster, they may change the lineup, but the result is always the same.
The quality is always there.
Yeah. The expectations are always there, and that wind up, that punch was good enough to punch the second frame here in favor of Vietnam. 2-0 lead against Indonesia, and it has been all Vietnam here today in the first fixture of the AVC Challenge Cup in the final day of the preliminaries. As we go into the third frame with Vietnam looking to end this early. They've only played for around 47 minutes, Coach, but then it's been all one way here. We'll be right back. Don't go away. A one-sided set number 2 in favor of Vietnam, 25-15, a double-digit win here for Vietnam, who are coming into this as one of the prohibitive favorites of the entire competition.
Yes, seeded number 1
here.
Seeded number 1, reigning and defending AVC Challenge Cup champions, showing us their teeth, both on offense and on defense. Indonesia is not a weak team. Vietnam is a super strong team, and that is exactly what we are seeing here. Taking Indonesia to school, overpowering this very young team from Indonesia, and just once again imposing their will and their strength, size, skill level, experience, all factors, telling factors in favor of Vietnam.
Well, you know, apart from the stellar attacking play here of Vietnam, the net defense actually wasn't as activated as it seemed here in set number 2. In fact, they have no scores from blocks here, talking about Vietnam.
But the block attempts have always been present, and that changes the flow offensively of Indonesia. And then, not seen in the numbers, of course, is the floor defense excellence in terms of dig count.
And of
9
course,
errors for Indonesia also hurt them.
Yeah, so giving the points away there, a couple of service errors, a couple of attack errors as well.
And it's because of the blocking.
Yeah.
Blocking imposition in terms of just intimidating.
Yeah, there's a fear factor.
Correct.
With regards to when you see the Vietnam front line there.
With the way they defended.
Yeah.
The best scoring options of Indonesia in set 1. And when you get into the minds of the hitters, you really change the shots, and eventually that will tell and will be against the team that was intimidated because of the blocking presence, because of the block attempts, and because of the offensive blocks that was scored against the team that has been guarded extremely well.
Well, if you're Indonesia, you're going to need another strong start here, because in the first frame it was relatively close up until the midway point, but here in set number 2 it was a different story.
Well, they decided to go to Sabrina early before once again returning those touches for Santi. Let's see if they will go back to their first set strategy in trying to get Santi more involved earlier. But somebody else has to be able to help out offensively here for Indonesia to try and make that defense more honest and not just shadow and contain Santi. And of course, one of their ace players, Sabrina.
You know, this Vietnam team, who did not start the game with Tien, who's a 30-point scorer, actually introduced Tien towards the end of that second frame. And if she continues playing here in the third and heats up, we may be in for a show here, at least on the offensive end.
True.
But on the other side, Coach, you take a look at the two-man play here between Santi and Bella Sabrina. They are the top offensive options here for Indonesia. They gotta find a way to get going too.
Because Putri Agustin has also been held in check. Also one of the key contributors offensively for Indonesia. And anytime you only have two scorers or pin hitters, not even a threat with your middle blocker, it's easier for the other team to defend the flank. And that is exactly what we're seeing, given how well Vietnam has been able to focus and contain the scoring explosions, so possible scoring explosions from, of course, from Santi and from Sabrina.
Coach Tien not starting here for Vietnam in set number 3.
Right.
You know, with all due respect to Indonesia, Vietnam haven't needed the services of Tien. These are heavy scoring. Indonesia scoring first with Bella Agustina drawing first blood.
And that's a good sign here for Indonesia. Wire-to-wire win in set 2 for Vietnam. But Indonesia knocking in the first point courtesy of Sabrina.
But the question now is also, can they keep their game clean here? 9 opponent error points given away by Indonesia in set number 2.
Those are 3 points. Vietnam scores once again, ties the scoreline at 1.
Take a look at that again. That time, the reception not quite there. The coverage unable to deal with that one.
Vietnam has played 3 matches, 9 sets won, or rather played 3 matches, 1 set given up only, and that was against Kazakhstan. Losing set number 3 at 25-14, so may show a little sign of weakness perhaps. But Nguyen Thuyen had 30 in that 4-set win, by the way, for Vietnam.
Yeah, just dominant in that game. And that was a sharp serve that lands as a service ace.
How dominant was Nguyen Thuyen? 26 of 53, almost 50%. Also had 3 of her team's 6 blocks. Also had 1 of 3 aces for Vietnam in that 4-set win over the Kazakhs.
Thuyen with another good serve. Bella Sabrina answers back with a swing of her own.
Through the block, that was tough. Staying away from that line shot, going straight at the blockers. Final chance to stay in the match. Look at the wind-up, look at the full swing. And that is just a 21-year-old Bella Sabrina Agustina.
That time, finding the gap again behind the blockers. Vietnam have really consistently exploited that space.
So what Vietnam is doing is reading the defense. On the other side, the flank hitters of Indonesia are attacking with much force. More variation on the part of Vietnam, more read on the defense, because simply put, they are the more experienced team really between these two squads.
Overcooked there, and a rare point given away here from Vietnam. Still a 1-point game here. If you're Indonesia, just stay close and you never know what will happen.
A total of 6 errors so far for Vietnam in 2 sets.
Rara Tegariani with the serve. Oh, but my scores.
Oh my, that's another problem. And you know what? Mai is so skillful that she waits for the double block to come down before launching that hit. Again, in any sport, it's so hard to play southpaws or left-handed players.
Well, Mai has been one of the standouts here.
Correct.
For this Vietnam team in this game. Did not even play against Kazakhstan.
Right, but had 16 points in their first 2 wins.
Another service ace here, Coach.
Again, separation here for Vietnam as early as possible. And that's Mai. 7 against Hong Kong, 9 against Singapore, DNP against Kazakhstan.
And getting a bit of help in the tape. May scoring there yet again.
Service ace number 5. 1 in set 2, 2 in set 1, 2 in the 3rd set. All courtesy of Mai. So she has scored the last 4 points.
Well,
3
she
points.
is scorching at the moment. And we'll try to do that again. That was another sharp serve there. And right now, Indonesia trying to regain a bit of composure. Gendis, who has checked in for the first time, close to scoring. Ball popped up. A chance here for Indonesia to score on the scramble. That time getting a bit of help from Tape, but Yen with the save. Good job there from the libero. Go to Santi, and Junaida Santi gets a well-earned point here for Indonesia.
That's the go-to for this team, no doubt. Can deliver from anywhere. Back row play for Santi. No problem. Coming off a 9-point game against Kazakhstan. Santi so far in this competition, a total of 29 points heading to this game. That's Santi.
Junaida Santi has been shining here. And I'm taking down notes, coach, because I'm excited for this young kid's future.
And we will see her for many, many years. No Megawati, no problem for Indonesia. The future is bright with this national pool that they have.
Scoring off the block there.
One of the reasons why they were not able to send some of their best players was because the Pro League is ongoing for Indonesia at present. Pro Liga.
On to Lin. On the service line here for Vietnam. As they look to build on a 3-point lead, but Gendis has other ideas.
Late entry, no problem. The opposite hitter. Only 17 years old.
Again, this is a very young team.
Very young team. Average age is 19. Youngest is 17. And that's her. 16 lang pala. Santi's only 16. So the two youngest players.
Well, Quinn reintroduces herself here to Indonesia, scoring from the wing. 3-point lead here to Vietnam.
Again,
look at that here.
This last sequence, soaring over the double block. Again, this has only played in one game, and that was against Singapore. Did not see action against Hong Kong and against Kazakhstan. Combination play. Perfect.
Quinn again with a shot with emphasis.
Enjoying themselves, punishing the defense of Indonesia. That was a piston play delivery. On point for a 4-point lead for last year's Challenge Cup champions.
Just take a look at this Vietnam team, coach. There's just so much power and potential all around. Again, these are some of the players who haven't been playing regularly here for the side.
Yes, but they will. These two teams met last year. Of course, Indonesia had a different roster because the Challenge Cup was played in Indonesia in 2023, and they played through 5 sets. Eventually, Vietnam winning that 5-set match and bringing home the gold in the second edition of the Challenge Cup. Initial winner was Hong Kong, by the way, in 2022. There's that middle hitter. Lest we forget. Loaded offense.
Very loaded, coach.
One of the best setters as well. These are the top two together with Gia Morado de Guzman. And we're looking forward to their face-off should that happen. And that will happen on a Tuesday, most probably.
Well, they need to get there first, coach. But that time will be a service error.
If they get there.
If they get there. Because as it stands, a crossover semis means that
you play either Kazakhstan or Hong Kong for the Philippines.
Yeah. And of course, on the other end, the potential matchups here for Vietnam
will be
probably Australia. Probably Australia with a 2-1 slate here at the moment.
Australia, most probably.
Yeah.
That's why the win by the Philippines over Australia really mattered a lot.
It did. And the way that they won it as well, packed house here at Rizal Memorial Coliseum. Bella Sabrina saying, wait, talk about us first with the swing and the point.
Gladly. Putre Agustin taking a rest.
And we're seeing signs of life here from Indonesia. Service ace. And all of a sudden, it's a 1-point lead here for Vietnam. A precarious 1-point lead. Maybe a bit more relaxed here in this game.
Yes. As you can see.
Aris Camara with the serve here.
Oh, now we're tied.
All knotted up, and Santi showing off defensive chops as well.
Right. 2 blocks in the match for Santi. Leading the way here, combining with Sabrina.
Well, we've seen that this Indonesia team has the potential to go on long scoring runs, but the question now remains, how long can they keep this up? Now for the lead here. And Sabrina.
That's in.
Steals the lead here for Indonesia.
First timeout to be called by Vietnam in the match.
Well, after this rally, after this run, it's no surprise. Let's listen in.
Chắn không được là bọn em hỏng ngay. Tập trung vào. Truyền bóng như thế. Tôi bảo là cố gắng. Truyền được không truyền được truyền biên cái mi được mà. Mình ơi, đỡ một cắt của bóng đi. Anh em ơi, tập trung ra. Tập trung vào. Truyền một.
Lên cắt vào điểm anh chị ơi.
Having to reset things here. Talking about Vietnam, who all of a sudden, they were looking so comfortable, coach. And then Indonesia go on a little run of their own. Bella Sabrina, fantastic. Junaida Santi also finding ways to score. They have not really solved the puzzle of Vietnam, but they are showing that they can come in with a fight.
And that's the most important thing right now. Come up with a fight. Stay in the game. Play as more sets as possible.
That time, that is a great reply there. Orchestrated by Gian.
Better reception here for Vietnam, having troubles with their first ball earlier. Setting the tone for that last slide play. As the blocking of Indonesia has improved in their floor defense, has also been on point here in set number 3.
Junaida Santi scoring off the blocks. And we got a set here, coach.
They never led in that set to loss. Losing that set 25-15 after dropping the first set at 25-17. But there's no separation at this point as we have already hit the midpoint of this third set.
Junaida Santi with a heavy serve again. Soft touch. Bella Sabrina there to cover. Get this with the swing. Great cover by Yen. Santi saved that. Free ball to play with here for Vietnam. Who do they turn to? And May managing to score again.
Just as that rally was ongoing, Thuyen Nguyen was signaled to just be ready to come in. Needing more offense perhaps, but now sent back.
What a luxury here, coach. You have on the bench the player that just scored the highest point total in this particular tournament so far.
That's Challenge Cup best 30 points for Thuyen Nguyen. 3 points better than Caitlin Kipping's 27 scored last night or yesterday. Angel Canino has also been outstanding. One of the leading scorers here in the Challenge Cup in her debut.
Another miscue there. You know, they were doing such a great job at keeping their errors down, their attack errors down, talking about this Indonesian team.
Thuyen Nguyen is the leading scorer right now.
Yeah, with 54 points, as well as Sil Fang Min with 46. Of course, Anushree has 41.
Anushree, yes, of India.
Has 41 for India. Of course, for the Philippines, Angel Canino with 39. We'll try to add on to that tally later on.
39. Wow. Perhaps this was just 2 games. Or 3 matches. Either way, she's
Either way,
in the top
chance
10.
to,
So it's
there will be a
allowed.
chance for her to continue and add on to that tally. Of course, it's still a bit of a distance from the 54 of Nguyen Tien, but don't look now. Nguyen Tien is there to add on to her own tally here. It is a 1-point lead here for Vietnam. Coming in as a service specialist here.
Coming in here in the final match in the pool play as an off-the-bench weapon for Vietnam.
Gendis with the swing.
Well
Soft
covered.
touch. Yeah, well covered for sure. Santi from the back. And that was another heavy hit here. Indonesia coming alive, showing us their potential, tying it up at 15-all.
One of the best pipe attackers, no doubt, is Santi. In the same way that Cici Rondine is making that back row play seems like a front row attack.
And Agustina with the serve. And that time, unable to catch the line.
Attacking zone 1, but they will challenge this.
Okay, so they will challenge this, looking for a block touch here.
Ladies and gentlemen, and represents of
And of course, an important challenge here with Indonesia showing signs of potentially stealing a frame
Yes,
here.
yes.
And if you steal one set, you never know what will happen in the fourth.
And this is just probably a strategy to also just allow players of Vietnam to think, pause for a bit, calm themselves down amidst this rally here in set 3 for Indonesia.
Tuan Kiet with his first challenge of this game, looking for that block touch.
With their first timeout as well.
Yeah,
Called in the match.
they've been forced into a few things here, and there is no block touch. And that's clear as day. But some coaches use challenges as an artificial timeout
Correct.
sometimes. Unsuccessful challenge, but that doesn't necessarily mean they didn't use that time well. So let's see what they come up with here. Bella Sabrina gets the serve.
Oh, that's
And
a
that's
poor
a service
reception.
ace.
Biggest lead for Indonesia here in this set.
2-point lead and a timeout for Vietnam.
That's their final timeout.
Another look at that there. The service ace and smiles all around for Indonesia.
Bọn em có thấy không? Bây giờ nghiến răng vào thay người nào đánh, người nào đỡ, người nào làm. Dấn lên. Sao đánh như thế nhỉ? Phản công mãi không đánh ăn điểm chứ. Làm sao người ta chả dấn lên, không chắn được là người ta đánh. Tập trung vào nào, cố gắng.
Well, Vietnam look human in this frame, coach. 17-15 in favor of Indonesia, as Indonesia's young guns have come out and shown they are no pushovers.
Well, Indonesia's level of play is mirrors the first part of the first set. This is the way they started.
What a reply, what an answer. Vietnam saying, all right, give us a moment.
They had their moment. They had their challenge. They had another timeout, their final one. But they gave up a service ace earlier to be down by 1. Now, Thuyen Nguyen scores her second point of the match.
Fani unable to get it past the blockers there. Good coverage here coming from Indonesia.
Oh,
Santi.
that's a foot fault.
Yeah.
Illegal back row attack.
So 17 all here. And don't look now, but Vietnam are looking to put this to bed. And you can see it, that there's just a bit more focus after that last time out, coach.
You heard the tone.
Bella Sabrina. Wow. You take a look at the latent power in that hit. And you have to feel that that's not even a full swing.
Not a full swing. It was a safe swing on her part. 3-point run after being behind by 2.
Well, now they sue for time here.
No wonder she scored 30 a few nights ago.
Pasti dikasih ya. Tolong bloknya ditunggu lagi. Barangkali kasbol. Terus defend di belakang. Siap. Dia panjang pukulannya. Ya. Oke. Yuk bisa yuk. Yuk Basik. Naik lagi Basik. Poin. Harus poin. Ya. Yuk.
Well. What a hit. What a contest here.
Just a glimpse on how good Nguyen is for Vietnam. Limited minutes, limited floor time.
Yeah, Nguyen Tien has come up here and showed us why she scored 30 last time, but then take a look at Indonesia not giving up here as Bella Agustina pulls them within one, or rather ties this ball game up.
Coming up with the line shot. We haven't seen Dang for a long while.
It's been,
And she's about to come in.
well, they have been using Yen here in this one.
It was Dang was the kryptonite against Sabrina earlier.
Yen overcooked it.
Back in the lead. Their own version of a 2-point run.
And don't look now, but Indonesia, should they steal this frame, well, that would make things a lot more interesting here. The setup and the swing from Quinn.
No more long rallies. It's all about quick points.
And you know, you had a sense that this Vietnam team wanted to get the game done quickly. And this extended game here so far in set number 3, I'm sure, has the coaching staff scratching their heads. Santi able to score through the blockers.
And that's why it was vital for Vietnam to have that gap and separation. Because Indonesia is dangerous when they are close, especially with Santi in the front or in front. What a serve.
Oh, it's a great serve there from Indonesia, but even a better serve here from Quinn.
Let's take a look at the team from Chinese Taipei to our left.
Of course, some of the other players here.
Under 20 team, by the way, for Chinese Taipei in this competition.
Again, this is such a great venue, an avenue here to gain experience, international experience, crucial in development of the young talents that we have around the region. As Santi with a swing and the hit, and Indonesia have stolen the lead yet again.
Too much power on that cross-court delivery against Yen. Eluding the blockers as well. If you don't slow her shots down, chances are she will score.
Rara Rizkamara with the serve. And Tien getting that past the block.
First time I've seen Nguyen hit from the open. Has missed once. Also gave up a service ace. Other than that, superior in terms of power, in terms of force.
You feel that there's just another level that Yen Tien hasn't shown us here in terms of the power and display. And Sabrina able to score and steal the lead again.
Dang is already in, but Sabrina is still able to score. Sabrina and Santi alternating. That has been the combo on offense for Indonesia that has given them the first set with over 20 points.
Yen Tien.
Oh, chance for Indonesia.
But Sabrina, she had a teammate right in front of her, couldn't really elevate. At that time, no stopping there. Give her 2 chances and she'll score at least 1.
They had their chance, talking about Indonesia, to build a 2-point lead late here in the set. Instead, they gave Nguyen another chance to score. And did she score? Once again, emphatic kill. Scoring the most here in set 3 in their bid to close out this match by a sweep.
Trin with the serve here for Vietnam. And Sabrina off the block.
1 point ahead at 23-22.
Well, Bella Sabrina Agustina has come to life here alongside Janaida Santi. And so far, that has been enough here to make this the most competitive frame here between these two Southeast Asian rivals. Looking to go to set point, but then they give the point away by a service error. Watch out for the serve here coming from Yen Tien. we know has a very heavy hand. Gendis. Beating at the
that's
net,
a
and it
crucial one.
falls for Vietnam.
It's a crucial one. Sneaky play. Making something out of a difficult situation. As Putra Agustin will come in for Gendis. And Indonesia will call a timeout with Vietnam at match point.
Well, Vietnam's at match point, and Indonesia were so close to coming to set point themselves. This isn't it.
Kurangin kesalahan, kan gitu kan, ya. Hey, berani yuk, bisa yuk, ambil yuk, passing naik, ya Raya. Harus poin, harus skill, ya. Baru kita mikir bertahan, ya. Dilihat, pasti servisnya di Santi. Santi berani ya, gak apa-apa, naik aja, yuk, yuk. Harus skill, yuk.
Bantu receive
Bisa ya,
dulu.
ya. Bantu receive ya.
Indonesia.
Sar.
Well, here's a chance here for Indonesia to force an extended set, but Vietnam are looking to end it here. It is match point for the Vietnamese and the 30 point scorer in the last game. Nguyen Thien on the service line. Santi with the reception. They go back to Junaida Santi, and Junaida Santi will extend this.
Coverage was not there for Vietnam, and Santi punishes them with another back row point.
Well, the crowd is starting to trickle in here at the Rizal Memorial Coliseum, and you have a few of the crowd here starting to cheer for the underdogs of Indonesia. But of course, Vietnam will try and end this soon. They go back to Junaida Santi. Great dig. Nguyen Thien with the swing. Bella Sabrina Agustina.
Set point, Indonesia. Vietnam on their heels in this set.
Let's take a look at that again. The captain coming up big, extended the set. Bella Agustina has come up big here in set number 3. Good serve there. Vietnam with the reply, scoring off the block.
Extended set. 78 minutes and running. This match so far. It looks so easy for Vietnam in the first 2 sets.
Different story here in set number 3. They're going toe-to-toe here with one of the best in the region. We're talking about this young Indonesian side. Tu Ling with the serve. Agustina. All of a sudden, Bella Agustina could not be stopped.
Either Santi or Sabrina exclusively. Back row, right flank. Back row, right flank.
Putri Agustin, the serve. Well dealt with there. And scoring, could not score off the block rather. Great coverage here coming from Indonesia. And Junaida Santi gets the point and smiles all around here for Indonesia. They force a 4th frame here at the Rizal Memorial Coliseum. It looked like it was going to be a sweep, but all of a sudden Indonesia have come up big when they needed to the most. Vietnam forced into a 4th frame, and Indonesia are going to see how far they can. What a frame here for Indonesia. 27-25, extending the set against Vietnam, and of course overcoming what seemed to be an insurmountable disadvantage here. Vietnam had the firepower, the height, the experience, and they were doing everything right up until a certain point in set number 3, where all of a sudden the team captain here of Indonesia, Bella Sabrina Agustina, as well as Junaida Santi, decided to put the game on their shoulders. Point after point after point, and pushing Vietnam into a 4th frame. Let's take a look here at the statistics here in set number 3. The attack points for Indonesia actually outpointing Vietnam 20-17, as well as taking advantage of 1 block point. Now, we were talking a lot about the defense of Vietnam, how that was the biggest factor, the biggest difference maker in this matchup against Indonesia. But so far, in that set number 3, Indonesia have shown us that they have the ability, that they have the guile to get over this Vietnam team. But the question is, they did it once. Can they do it again? Set number 4 coming right up here. Coach Ronnie, you take a look at what this Vietnamese team did not do in set number 3. What was that in your mind?
Number 1, I thought that did not play as serious as possible, because I thought that complacency set in a bit for them, and that led to that opening coming from that led to an opening that Indonesia exploited, because Vietnam was already ahead by about 3 or 4 points in that previous set. But they let their guard down, and eventually Indonesia made them pay.
But what about their captain, Bella Agustina, as well as Junaida Santi, coming up big, and right now they're even defending well against Nguyen Thien, and it is Junaida Santi who scores again.
This is a different team from Indonesia right now. No longer intimidated. But one thing that Vietnam has to do better here is reestablish their blocking once more, because only 2 players have been getting the touches.
In fact, did not get a kill block in the last one. That service error, of course, will be something that Vietnam will try to build on.
And as Indonesia's defense became tougher and stronger, it became a problem for Vietnam to be able to score against Indonesia.
You know, a lot of people, especially in the Philippines, have their eyes on a potential matchup against Vietnam. And I'm sure everyone's already taking notes at home. But what a serve there coming from Quinn. Able to get the service ace here for Vietnam.
Every set, Vietnam has been able to register at least 1 ace. Total of, I believe, 6 right now for them heading to this frame.
That time, the soft hit, not good enough. And Ling with a wind-up, but nothing there. Bella Sabrina Agustina almost scored. And this is going to be Tien trying to make something out of nothing, but Agustina again finding the corner.
One on the left, the other on the right. That has been the scoring combination. Again, Sabrina and Santi interchanging. Let's see how Vietnam is able to contain them, because right now
it is night and day, coach, for this Indonesian team. They look like a team overmatched in set number 1 and 2. But in set number 3, they've shown us that they are more than a match here for Vietnam. They are equals.
And that is the value of playing against the best teams in the region, against the best players as well. The experience factor, getting used to your opposition. And then players are able to immerse themselves as quickly as possible to the level of play, making the in-game adjustments.
But of course, Vietnam looking to pour cold water in their little run, but then Junaida Santi has found a rhythm.
Hot hands for heavy-handed Santi. 9-point game last time that they played. Definitely more in this match. Santi, as we mentioned, one of the leading scorers all throughout the competition. Giving up that last service error. 29 points in 3 games, almost 10 per contest.
2 service errors already here for Indonesia in this frame. Giving a couple back here to Vietnam. Tien. And the joust inside the net. allows Indonesia to create something here. And Bella Agustina getting the point there, just being able to hug the line.
That is the main target of Sabrina here in set 3. Going to zone 1, going cross court, away from Dang.
Rara Tigriani with the serve. And that time scoring off the block.
That slide play is becoming to be a familiar pattern that Vietnam has been running to also try and elude the much improved defense here coming from Indonesia, at least in the last 2 sets.
This is an Indonesian team, coach, all of a sudden playing with a little sense of belief. And
True.
Vietnam are trying to find their way through it. And right now, it is Quinn able to get that again. Two-point lead here for Vietnam. Dang with the good take. Here's Tien with the overhit shot.
Outside ball for Indonesia.
Bella Agustina on the service line here after what was a fantastic set number 3 for her.
At running play once again. Let's see if that softens up the open and the back row plays later on. But that slide play has been the source of points here in set number 4 for Vietnam.
So far so good for Vietnam in this frame, but then as we saw a while ago, Indonesia have the potential to come up with a few points of their own as Pham Thi Hien hits the service line. Bella Agustina. And Quinn able to get another point. And she has been steady here for Vietnam.
That's what they need. Steadier play. Less Indonesia once again steals or pulls the rug under them.
Well, for Vietnam, regular run of business is erecting a big lead here against Indonesia, but then they are not going away as tonight as Santi.
And I believe that Santi has identified Thuyen Nguyen as a weak link defensively. He attacked her earlier from the service line. Now, trying to force her to play more on defense and perhaps lessen her efficiency in terms of offense.
Well, yeah, Tien has been a bit of a target here. That's no question about it. But Quinn has been coming up big here and has been one of the more consistent scorers.
Especially in this match. Heading to this game, total of 20. 1 against Kazakhstan, 5 against Singapore, 11 against Hong Kong. Today, very productive. One of the leading scorers for Vietnam.
Good coverage there coming from Vietnam. Tien scores off the block.
Off a broken play, good adjustment, 4-point lead. Biggest separation in the last 2 sets here for Vietnam.
Kim Tuol with the serve. Bella Agustina manages to score again.
Again, going cross court. Another player that Vietnam has to solve.
Well, you know, it felt like initially the answer to Bella Agustina was Dang, the libero of Vietnam. But so far, even with Dang on the floor, still managing to score.
Because Bella has targeted her shots away from Dang. Understanding that Dang defended her and contained her in the first 2 sets. Now, all the shots away from the ace libero of Vietnam.
Tien there, able to score off the block. Not much Indonesia could do about that as Rara Rizkamara couldn't direct it the other way. 11-7 lead, still in favor of Vietnam. or looking to not make any mistakes like they did in set number 3. But then Junaida Santi scoring down the line.
Little airspace. Not much time, but still beats
Again,
blockers with that line shot. Look at how tight that space is. Side spin, kissing the line.
again, a reminder that Junaida Santi was born in 2007. She's one of the younger players here in this Indonesian team. Tien, stopped there by the double block. And Sabrina Agustina able to get another one back.
And that shot was opened up simply because Santi scored earlier. Who do you guard? Santi or their captain?
Rara Rizkamara on the service line here.
That was also excellent net defense on the part of Indonesia.
And Tien getting that in between the blockers and the net.
Better timing here for Nguyen.
And here's the scary thing, if you're Indonesia, Tien is starting to heat up here, has already tallied a few points here in set number 4.
About 7 dating back to her insertion in set 3. T4 has not seen action for Vietnam yet.
In the entire tournament.
As we read earlier, will play as a reinforcement in Turkey, a Super League. T4 playing wearing jersey number 3.
Take a look at that again. As Vietnam are trying to pad on to this lead, create a bit of cushion. As we saw a while ago, Indonesia have shown the capability of going on little runs. Better defense almost there, but Santi could not push that the right way.
Good change up coming from Nguyen. 2-point run to register the biggest lead here in set number 4. Forces Indonesia to call a timeout as the gap and separation that Vietnam has been pining for has finally been established.
Sampai dengerin ya. Hei, nggak apa-apa, masih bisa. Ya, tadi saya ketiga bisa. Ya, kita kejar yuk. Kita bagus passing dulu, kill. Terus sana serangannya mulai 1, nggak berani cross. Ya, tolong yang 1 tutup ya. Yang 1 tutup. Nggak apa-apa yuk. Yuk, bisa yuk. Diambil pelan-pelan.
And the good time.
14-9, still in favor of the Vietnamese. Indonesia sued for time, trying to end their momentum, trying to recalibrate themselves once again. And they all know that they have the potential. We mentioned it a while ago, Coach, because that set number 3 was very impressive. And that service error will go a long way into helping Indonesia find their form again.
You see the reaction. Santi at the back right now after this serve.
And that time, it was Vietnam again getting past Indonesia.
Able to activate the middle hitter because Dang's first ball was superior. Excellent defensive specialist, really.
DB Tuyen with the serve. Junaida Santi gets a bit of help from the tape.
Up to 5, down to 4.
And there will be a challenge here. Foot fault is what they're going to ask for. Going to look for here.
Ladies and gentlemen, and there is a challenge on the play by Vietnam.
All right, so let's see whether or not that's going to be the case. Coach, for a young team like Indonesia, just how impressed are you with the fight they put up against Vietnam?
I was really surprised with their win-loss record given the way I saw them play today. Really a very good team in spite of the fact that they only flew in 11 players. Really a solid roster. Of course, the major stars, the fixtures in the national team are not here, but this is a very promising unit and at least 3 solid players
Yeah, you know,
that they have here.
You take a look at Indonesia. They have 11 players. Of the 11 players, there's only 1 listed libero.
Right.
And the average age is around 19, the youngest being 17, as we mentioned a while ago. 22 years old is Bella Agustina, 22 to 21. And as the oldest member of this group here, is tasked to lead such a young side. And of course, for those wondering, where are the top players of Indonesia? As you mentioned a while ago, Coach, still playing in the Pro Liga.
Correct.
In their domestic league.
And like any other country, at times there are some problems or concerns with schedule in terms of international competition and local executions as well.
Well, for Vietnam, of course, it's a bit of a different story with some of their top players in their domestic league already featuring here. Now, the problem now is that a lot of people are still waiting for T4. Have yet to see action here in this tournament.
The face of the national team for the longest time, T4.
And attack line falls, what they're checking, and yes, that is a good challenge here coming from Vietnam.
It happened earlier, it happened again. Good call here, coming from Vietnam.
Successful challenge there for the Vietnamese as they are looking to put Indonesia away. And don't look now, but Tien on the service line once more. And the beating at the net, won by Vietnam, as Hien will enjoy that one.
This is separation. Slowly but surely, Vietnam imposing once again its experience and higher skill level against a very game unit from Indonesia.
Indonesia running out of gas, unfortunately for them, as almost a service ace, kept alive by hook or by crook. Junaida Santi, stopped by Dang. Now from the back, Santi trying to save it. Indonesia working and manages to send that across.
Wow, but did you see the timing by the ace playmaker, the reigning best setter, reigning best middle blocker, and the MVP all in one team. The 2023 AVC Challenge Cup title holders in the cusp of winning this match with this fourth set separation after just being challenged by the third set loss.
Yeah, Lin Koswang able to score there, but then take a look at Sabrina once more.
Whatever happens in this match and for the rest of the competition, I'm sure that there will be a lot of players in the radar of the federation coming from Indonesia.
Oh yeah,
that they are going to be a part of the national pool pretty soon, even with the senior players already there.
Well, again, just building for the future here, talking about Indonesia.
There's always that cycle, whether or not you stay with the more mature players, you put in trickles your junior standouts. And there are a lot here.
Ling, off speed. And that time, the pass just not quite there.
Indonesia hardly made mistakes in that set 3 win. Yet, instead, it was Vietnam who made a lot of miscues. That set 3 loss.
Well, with experience comes the consistency, Coach.
True.
With more experience, this Indonesian team, I'm sure, will address all of those in future tournaments. But here's Bella Agustina. Not that time.
Of the block point.
Hasn't happened a lot here coming for Putri Agustin in this game.
Their third leading scorer finally gets the job done here.
Another look at that there.
Usually one of their taller players.
Yeah. Bella Agustina lines up here. Quinn. Putri Agustin again. Back-to-back points. And Putri Agustin, after being quiet for a majority of this game, is starting to show a bit of a lifeline here for Indonesia.
Too much gap in that two-man wall here for Vietnam.
But Agustin could not find the line. That will be out wide.
25-17, 25-15 first two sets, all in favor of Vietnam. But Indonesia came charging back, winning set 3, coming from behind, 27-25.
Putri Agustin. Good defense shown by Vietnam.
Perfect
Back
timing.
and the coverage not quite there again for Indonesia.
Perfect timing coming from Lin. Had to take another step. Look at this. That hop. Beating the central figure at the net. Was trying to ambush and execute a possible offensive block. 8-point lead here. Vietnam.
Junaido Santi tried something different there. Again. That's a good hit. But then the defense right there. But then Quinn with the off speed and the push gets that in between the two blockers.
It's been the best quarter here so far for Vietnam all match long. 22 Vietnam, 13 for Indonesia. 9-point lead, fourth set action.
Well, timeout for Indonesia. Let's listen in.
Ayo. Perbaikin lagi, yuk. Perbaikin. Dari blok, ya. Dari receive. Dari serangan. Receive-nya udah bagus. Receive-nya udah bagus, tapi serangannya nggak poin. Ya? Yuk, bisa yuk.
Well, words of encouragement there for Coach Lilipali as he's trying to inject a bit more life and maybe a final kick here from Indonesia. But, of course, with the scoreline as it is, Vietnam looking to formalize a win here.
Upcoming match will be between Kazakhstan and Hong Kong for the final seat, most probably in the semis.
Quinn.
Smart.
Able to score again. Has been one of the better scorers in this game so far overall for Vietnam.
26 points for Quinn.
(23-13) the count here, double-digit lead. Indonesia trying to make this a single-digit one here with a point. But again,
block touch.
With the block touch,
yes.
Gets the point.
Clear as day. Now I can see why she scored 30 yesterday.
Well, it's match point here for Vietnam, looking to end this one. And that'll do it. It wasn't a walk in the park here for Vietnam as they expected. Indonesia stole set number 3 but could not maintain the momentum here in set number 4. And Vietnam showed off their quality, showed off their skill, and showed just how far this Indonesian team, this very young Indonesian team, has to go. Again, average age of 19 years old, going up against some of the best here in Vietnam.
Against the defending champions.
Against the defending champions. They're going to take this experience and learn from it, I'm sure. But for Vietnam, it's all about racking up the wins as professionally as possible. And in the end, they did just that.
And they needed to sense some danger, which is what happened in that set 3 loss, to be able to once again play the way they normally do. And sometimes that is what good teams need. And for their head coach, most probably be tested right now to prepare them for the harder grind in the next coming day, which will be on Tuesday in the semis.
Well, it will be a lesson on focus here for this Vietnam team. They cannot afford, especially moving forward, to be complacent, especially when you go to the semifinals and potentially the finals. 3-set win to 1 against Indonesia. Vietnam taking the win here after taking set number 4, 25-13, and what was a straightforward affair for the Vietnamese in the end. Of course, for Indonesia, we talk about the hope that they have for this young group. Junaido Santi performing very well. Bella Sabrina as well, going and scoring beyond what was expected. And of course, Coach, you take a look at the fact that there are things to address here, even from the Vietnamese team. We can surely expect improvement from these two groups moving forward.
Immediately, and that will be improvement in terms of incremental improvement, in terms of experience. But definitely, sky's the limit when you talk about this very young team from Indonesia getting vast experience playing against the region's best. And definitely, it will augur well for them in the near future.
And of course, when you have a Vietnamese team like this as defending champions, who are trying to make it a back-to-back title, you have to consider the fact that this group has expectations all over them. And we're going to see whether or not they can meet them, because they have flown through the preliminaries, Coach.
True. Seamless, really. Lost 2 sets, but it's not a problem. It's all about getting to the semis as quick as possible, even without their best player, T4. And that's a big question mark as well. Will T4 see action in the Final Four, or even in the final should they make it? But for now, it's all about being the first team to head into the semis in their pool.
Well, we talked about her over and over again, talking about Quinn, the number 16, who performed really well here today. And in just a bit, we're going to hear from her with our Bailey's Akot, of course, with a bit of help from a translator as well. But right now, I believe Quinn is ready for us and ready for the interview. And so far, we're going to throw it over to Bailey's in just a bit. But before that, Coach, you take a look. Siyempre, ganyan yung pag-stretch eh. But then you take a look at the fact that this side, this Vietnamese team, is going to come in still as one of the favorites. But let's take a look at the point statistics here. 100 points here scored by Vietnam.
100 in 4 sets. Plus 10 in attack points. Indonesia's offense was also in full throttle. But I believe that aside from blocking, it was also from the service line that they hurt the defense of Indonesia all match long. And look at the error count. That's experience for you. Just 12 in 4 sets. While Indonesia committed 23, almost a set given up in terms of free points. All in all, Vietnam may have lost set number 3, but definitely the superior team in this matchup versus Indonesia.
Bailey's Akot is now with Quinn. Let's hear from them. Bailey's, take it away.
Thank you so much, Paolo and Coach Ronnie. Again with me is Tinyu Quinn of Vietnam. First off, congratulations on the win, ending the preliminaries on a high note. So my question is, in terms of this match, rotation has been different compared to the past matches. Is this the game plan of the coaching staff in terms of rotation and finding more options within the team?
Bạn ấy hỏi là trận này cái đội hình khác hơn là các trận trước. Đó là có phải là cái của ban huấn luyện viên muốn thay đổi đội hình khác hay không?
Hôm nay là một đội hình khác, thì đây là chiến thuật của ban huấn luyện. Và tại vì xoay quanh các cầu để tất cả các cầu thủ để được ra sân và cọ sát. Và một phần nữa là tất cả đều có thể là giữ sức khỏe tốt nhất để chiến các trận tiếp theo.
She said the coaching staff had used a different rotation, different formation today to ensure that everyone have a hit, everyone being involved, and make sure that everyone ready to go when the crunch comes.
Yes, and crunch time is coming, the playoffs is near, and you're approaching that rest day for tomorrow, so much more time to strategize. Now, in terms of treatment and perspective, will it be the same, or will things be different in terms of preparation?
Bạn ấy hỏi là khi mà mình vào vòng bán kết á, vào vòng chung kết thì cái chiến thuật có thể thay đổi không, hay là cái sự mà chuẩn bị có thể có thay đổi không, hay là vẫn như thế này?
Trước khi vào các trận tiếp theo thì ban huấn luyện sẽ họp và có ra những chiến thuật khác nhau tùy theo vào từng trận. Và
different tactics and for each of the opposition, and she said that she's sure the coaching staff will be doing the same thing in the next round of scouting opposition and making sure that they have the best possible formation to cope with the opposition.
All right, again, congratulations on the win. Good luck. Back to you, Coach Ronnie and Paolo.
Thank you very much. That's Bailey's Akot with Quinn, the top scorer, one of the top scorers in this game here so far. Let's take a look at the Pool B standings, the updated one, as Vietnam have cleared the gauntlet here with a 4-0 sweep.
The runway is already clear for Vietnam to the Final Four. The bigger question right now, who will join them? And the upcoming match will answer that question shortly, as Hong Kong and Kazakhstan faces off for the final seat in the semis, while Indonesia and Singapore, of course, will play in the classification phase, and that will also be done or played come Tuesday.
And for Hong Kong, Kazakhstan, this is already a virtual playoff game for them.
Elimination match.
Absolutely. And of course, let's see whether or not they will end up going to the semifinals. As we mentioned a while ago, Kazakhstan against Hong Kong. Up next here, the AVC Challenge Cup here in Manila, Philippines. Thank you very much for joining us for the first matchup here in today's quadruple header. I'm Paolo De Rosario alongside Coach Ronnie Magsano. Bailey Zacot was on the sidelines here for us just a while ago, and we'll see you for the next games.